Well, news out late last week is that the Bank of Namibia has turned down Absa's acquisition of a controlling stake in Capricorn Investments, the owner of Bank Windhoek. The reason given by the Bank of Namibia Governor Ipumbu Shiimi is that he wants to keep at least one of his banks Namibian owned. So where does that leave Absa? Well, joining me with the answer is Deputy Chief Executive Louis von Zeuner. Louis, thanks very much for coming into the studio today. A blow, no doubts, to Absa. Is this the end of the story for Absa in Namibia, or do you think you could give another shot, perhaps go for a minority stake in a bank?
We said that at the offset, and thanks for the opportunity to be here, we said at the offset it's an attractive market. We haven't lost interest in that market at all. I think the governor also in the communicating the decision was of the view that the door is not closed, and initially there was also thought of whether one should enter the market in a greenfields way. So no, we definitely still have an appetite for the market. We will pursue what opportunities there might be. But I think for now it's quite important to really study the decision properly, and once that has been done, we will make a decision as to how to approach the market if we can.
How feasible would it be for Absa to enter Namibia in a greenfields manner? Because of course your three main competitors in the South African markets already have a foothold in Namibia. But of course a smallish country.
Yeah, Steve, and I think that's I think is the big challenge. It's easy to speak about a greenfields operation, but it's rather difficult, I think, to establish it in that way in Namibia, and for that matter in many African countries. So it's definitely not the preferred option, but if it is your only option, one will have to consider that. So we'll have a look at it and see what is possible, but definitely not first prize.
Would a minority stake in a bank be attractive to Absa?
Well, you see, I think the challenge for us at the moment is, when a bank has a stake in any entity, you indirectly become the lender of last resort, you become the shareholder of reference. And I think the challenge that we have is to continuously look at whether there's an adequate return for us in terms of the
risk
effort
that you're carrying as well.
Absolutely, and the effort that one needs to put in. I think if you look at the changing banking environment, the focuses that you will see from Basel II amended, the amendments that were put forward, etc. One must expect that there's going to be a call on capital, investment in systems, etc. And that is something that must be a viable proposition and a good return for the bank. So definitely minorities is not our preferred way to go. We don't think that, and we have tried it in the past. But that is, I'm not preempting any decision in the regards to Namibia, but for us it is quite important, I think, from a regulatory perspective, that the bank has control about the risk, and that pretty much put you in a space of a majority position. Otherwise, it doesn't really make sense.
Just taking a look at your African strategy, Louis, because going back to the acquisition by Barclays of a majority stake in Absa a number of years ago, a second stage to that transaction was then envisaged, which would see you taking on Barclays' African assets. That didn't happen for a number of reasons. How have you grown since then? Of course, you did buy a stake in Banco Comercial de Angolana that you subsequently sold. Have you been growing in Africa since then, or are you precluded from going into countries where Barclays already operates?
No, I think one of our biggest shift in thinking about Africa is really to think about collaboration with Barclays. If we today can, in terms of our working relationship with Barclays, look at Absa Barclays together having a presence in 13 countries in Africa, if you include South Africa, we can offer a strong proposition to our customers. So we have moved away from this thinking that we need to own the presence of that country. With that, we have explored opportunities through our investment banking business and our insurance business, where we're actually active in the countries where Barclays has a presence. And, albeit that we are growing from a very low base, if one look at activities of insurance and investment banking, we've really made progress. If we look at the two countries that we are in Tanzania and Mozambique, very comfortable with the growth that we have seen there. And, looking with Barclays at all the opportunities, I mean, if you take agriculture, it's a traditional stronghold for Absa. And if we can strengthen our presence in the agricultural market, and Barclays has the presence and the brand, we believe it is a win-win. And those opportunities we are exploring, have been exploring over the last few years, and that surely has contributed to some of the growth. But I reiterate, on a very low scale, we started.
And does Barclays recognise the value that Absa can bring to agribusiness in particular?
Oh, definitely. I think it is respected internationally and not only in Africa. And I think, you know, the CEO of Barclays recently spoke about Barclays and the commitment to Absa. You know, we in South Africa, part of Africa, and I guess, you know, it is quite important that we see our involvement, whether Barclays or Absa, in that regard. And I think we are definitely aligned in that way in looking at Africa.
Nigeria, your Chief Executive Maria Ramos has spoken of Nigeria previously, says you are looking for opportunities. Have any of these opportunities arisen? Have you seen enough stability introduced to the Nigerian banking sector that you'd be confident and comfortable going in there and buying a bank?
Stephen, I think what we have said is, you know, we have a rep office license approved for Nigeria. And I think Maria is also on record in saying that we are in no rush to go and do an acquisition. We don't see an acquisition as the only means in which you can enter the market. So we are exploring and looking at opportunities, but it need not be an acquisition.
Louis, financial stability globally. We've had, of course, that G20 meeting recently. There was lots of talks about banking regulation. Some of that's been put on the back burner for the moment. We've also had Basel III pushed out slightly. How do you feel as one of the heads of a bank in South Africa looking at the global financial system and how it could impact on South African banks?
I'm very grateful actually for some of your discussions earlier today and even some of the media yesterday where we say it is a pretty fragile recovery still at the moment. I think there is a lot of changes that will be coming our way. Some of the majors might be on the back burner, but it hasn't gone away. And therefore you think, I mean, in our planning, I think going forward, how you manage your capital, how you manage your risk is going to be extremely important, and it's going to influence a lot of your decision making.
Louis, thank you very much for coming into the office today.
You're welcome.
That's Louis von Zeuner. He's the Deputy Chief Executive of Absa.